Found out my 31 male, ex-wife, 27 female, cheated on me while she was pregnant. Now she says I'm emotionally manipulative because I'm cold and distant during custody switches. Last year, while she was 6 months pregnant, I, 31 male, discovered that my now ex-wife, 27 female, had been cheating on me. The affairs occurred both before and after the pregnancy. She had reasons and excuses for not getting a divorce. She wanted to be together and have couples counseling. I advised her to go ahead and receive treatment, but infidelity was a deal breaker for me, so we divorced. She moved back in with her parents, who had ample space to build up a nursery, and gave my ex the guest room since the home was mine when we married. My wife is our daughter Sunday, Wednesday, and the original plan was for her to drop her off at daycare on Wednesday morning, and my nanny would pick her up around noon and bring her back to my house, where my daughter would stay with me until Saturday night or Sunday morning, depending on what worked best for everyone. That my ex stated she feared the daycare was misplacing some of the items she was bringing in for her to bring to my house, since our daughter had come home a few times without certain bottles or her binky. So ex stated she wanted to drop our kid off at our home straight to ensure that all of her belongings arrived at my place. So she began bringing her up from daycare and dropped her off here during her breaks. On Wednesdays and Fridays, I work from home. Nonetheless, I'm working. It was usually about 12:30 when ex started dropping Maydeen down at my place. Since I was in my office working, my daughter's nanny, a wonderful elderly woman from Barbados, not sure of her age but I'd estimate late 50s, 60s, was the one to open the door for my ex and remove my daughter and her belongings. When she arrived, ex said that she wanted to meet with me personally. She felt like she was dumping a lot on the nanny and didn't want her to forget to tell me anything, she said. I'd be lying if I claimed I didn't have animosity and hate against my ex. But I don't want my daughter to see that. So when I speak to my ex, I try to be as emotionally equal as possible, just talking about topics that are relevant to my daughter and nothing else. Aideen had a dirty diaper at today's drop-off, so her nanny brought her upstairs to change her. When my ex inquired how I was, I told her I was fine and thanked her before beginning to go back to my office. She sees herself out. She used to live there. You know, I'm getting really sick of your trash, she says as I walk away. I didn't even get a chance to ask her what she was talking about before she began flipping out, screaming I was emotionally manipulating her by being cold and aloof, that she shouldn't be punished eternally for her sins, and that hating her is the same as hating my kid. I let her finish ranting before telling her to go. I believe my best option is to avoid further interaction with her and to stop seeing her for drop-offs. But I was hoping to get some other viewpoints or ideas on the subject from you if you have any. Edit. I took a paternity test after discovering she cheated and my baby is mine. Update. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who took the time to write with their support, condolences, and suggestions. I didn't have time to react to all of the comments, but I read them all and appreciate them all. There were several excellent recommendations. Someone recommended a website called Talking Parents, which I feel will be a valuable resource for my ex-wife and myself. The thing I have to constantly telling myself is that the unpleasant and betrayed sentiments I have for my ex-wife will most likely dissipate in 5 or 10 years, but a hostile relationship between the two of us would have a long-term effect on our daughter. As a result, I met down with my ex-wife and taped a talk regarding our predicament. I was really honest and forthright with her. I informed her that although I still had bad sentiments for her as my ex-wife, as the mother of my kid, I would always treat her civilly and politely, but that we needed to set limits. I informed her that we're going back to our original plan of dropping her off at daycare in the mornings and having my nanny pick her up in the afternoons. We'll convey which products should be delivered home with her through the internet, so the nanny can double-check that she has everything. My ex-wife isn't pleased. I believe she came to my home in the hopes of reconciling, but I informed her gently, but unequivocally, that it was never going to happen, but I would want to see our relationship blossom as fantastic co-parents of a lovely young girl, and maybe one day friends. Thank you again to everyone who took the time to respond to my post. This group has been a fantastic resource for me, and I wish you all a nice night. Story 2. I got arrested because of cheating ex-wife. So I have an old Reddit account that I just use for gaming. I like playing my XP1X. I like playing a variety of games. But this isn't about video games. This is about what my ex-wife and her lover forced me to go through. I married the lady I was madly in love with 5 years ago. She was continually telling me how much she loved me. Always threw me for a loop. He was always sleeping on me. I felt she was ideal. I lost my job one day. I was a manager. As the company's fortunes began to deteriorate, they were forced to let me leave. Money wasn't coming in like it used to. I began using Uber. I worked for 6 hours a day, did a good job. It's not like a boss, but it's okay. After 8 hours of Uber, I decided to go home one day. When I go home, I see a Mercedes-Benz parked in front of my house. As in, is this the proper car? I walk in and curse you. I can hear her from the other side of the dang continent. I slam into the space. Some white dude effed up my wife. I thrashed the hell out of this man. He ruined his lovely face. He stomped his foot on my rug. Now I have blood on my carpet. My wife is attempting to shove me off of him. I pushed her to the ground and began smashing anything in sight. I haul the jerk out of my home, but naked. I attempt to track down the stupid bee, but she's gone missing. Now that I think about it, it's like something out of a horror movie, but I'm going away for 2 days. When I return, I notice officers waiting for me. I was detained on suspicion of violence. That man didn't appear to realize she was married. Women are petty. Most women, at least. I was detained for 24 months. 2 years. 2 years as a result of a WH. I was assaulted, stabbed, and jumped while I was in there. For what? 2 years. When I got back home, she was still living there. Technically, it was still her residence. She wanted to make amends. I really wanted to shatter her nose. Now I'm a guy who despises liars. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even touch her. Man, I verbally and emotionally battered the living daylights out of her. She was called a variety of names. She began to drink more and more. She was fired for hiding alcohol in the workplace. I'm talking about roughly 5 bottles here. I'm so stupid, The contract had expired. The residence was given to me by the judge. She was compelled to leave. She's fortunate I didn't pay her for all the beatings I received in jail, else I'd be back. Now there's this viral nonsense going on. I've lost another job, I used to be a delivery driver. I'm performing a DoorDash right now. I drive for roughly 10 hours a day. It's a good deal. Is my marriage still going on? No. I completed the divorce 6 months after I threw her out. Will I get married again? Nah, Mao. Women are just good for causing problems. Once they cease obtaining what they want, they will cheat on you with someone else. What are you marrying for? Marriage is a high-priced contract that wrecks men's life. People used to have more regard for themselves and their families back in the day. The irony is that I last saw X 2 weeks ago. She was out on the streets because her lover had found another female to bash. We grew up in the same area together. She is still in the neighborhood. Here's the real kicker. Why did she feel the need to apologize after 5 years? She wanted to confess. I have no idea. She confessed to me that she felt lonely. That money wasn't flowing in like it used to. We were battling just to keep ourselves clean. It wasn't all that horrible, Slight exaggeration. And then this man comes along and takes advantage of her weakness. It makes her happy, smile, and laugh. When I couldn't be there for her, probably because I was committed on making money for us law, that I was constantly on the go, that I altered as a result of stress. I informed her of this. We promised each other when we married that we would always have one another's back, that we will always be a group, that not even water can separate us. You betrayed your pledge because you were swayed by a gorgeous-faced man in a great automobile. Because of you, I ended up in prison. Have you seen this scar? My stab wounds. I was stabbed twice. It's all your fault. I think of you every time I see this scar. She burst out weeping and attempted to apologize to me. I chuckled and urged her to go home and be careful. She said, "Where do you want to go?" I turned around and said, "Well, shy so, how about your parents?" Unfortunately, they were the ones that evicted her, Don't worry, I'm sure they'll return her. They should do it before she becomes ill, however.